All right, guys, we're live. Xbox All In channel. All In chat video today. Kind of want to get a few things off my chest. Um, oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. Needed to make sure that the live stream was playing. Should have muted it though, but I didn't. As you can hear the echo in the background. I'm not sure what's going on with StreamYard, but it takes a while for my videos to post on the channel um, for some reason. I don't know why, but I just want to make sure that I'm live, which I wasn't checking on before, and I'm going to do today. And again, as you guys can see, it's an all-in chat video. This one's for the chat. You guys have comments and stuff like that, and it can be anything you guys want to talk about, specifically when it comes to Xbox as well. I know there's a lot going on with Xbox right now. I am a little bit behind the eight ball. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't had a chance to keep up with everything. In fact, last night I wanted to watch the Tokyo Game Show, the presentation that Xbox had, and I didn't get a chance to do it. It's got so much stuff going on. And then my focus is on other things. That's another reason why, as well. Uh, Not predominantly on Xbox or what's going on with Xbox. Of course, I did a couple of videos last week. They're more politically charged, and I had to deal with Xbox. But that's kind of where my mind's been lately, among other things. So that's why I haven't been doing a lot of videos on Xbox. But Tokyo Game Show is going on, man. I know a lot of people are excited. Heard some good stuff coming out of it. Like I said, I haven't been able to look at everything, uh, and catch up. But I'm definitely gonna touch. I'm gonna try and do it this weekend, guys. I definitely want to watch the show because I've already seen some of the announcements. Because again, you guys know I'm on social media, not 24/7, but a lot of my time is spent on social media websites. So of course, man, it's hard to avoid all the news. Good thing about a person like me, I don't care about spoilers. If I'm being honest, because whether it's movie announcements and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, it's how I interact with that stuff that matters to me. So hearing something, or but I get it. People like to be surprised, and it also adds to um, the excitement when you're watching these presentations and stuff like that. I totally get that. It just doesn't bother me if I hear something. Right? So, for example, I know that they did. Um, Hold on, guys. Something went wrong. There we go. There we go. I saw something drop. So for me personally, I know they had an announcement for Forza Horizon, and excited about that, guys. I mean, it's something that somebody like me, I was hoping that Xbox would do. Is it, Playground Games was going to do that a long time ago, right? Um, in fact, I know they did Mexico the year before, and I thought they were going to do that. That was the announcement was going to be Japan. But I mean, cool. We're finally getting it. Forza Horizon is a great series, and having it being in Japan is a no-brainer to me. And I mean, it was just a teaser trailer, right? That's my understanding. Just a teaser trailer. I don't know if they did a deep dive on it. Sorry about the background noise, guys. So I didn't. I don't know if they did a deep dive on any of this stuff. I just saw what was on X when I was scrolling through my account. So, but I think that's pretty big news, man. But I have no idea what else was shown at the game. I think. Well, I did see like an advertisement for Gungrave. But again, like since I didn't watch the show, I don't know what's what. Like, there's a lot of trailers being dropped, and there's a lot of other showcases as well, guys. If you guys want to check them out, that's coming out of Japan, that are just Japan specific, right? So same thing, kind of like when you watch the games. What is it? Gamescom in Europe, right? You watch that showcase and stuff like that. They have stuff that's predominantly um, European focused or from European developers and stuff like that. That's why I do like that they do these international game shows, right? Because you get a different flavor of the stuff that they put out there. Right? So, but let me ramble on just a little bit more. We're gonna kick this off in about a minute or two. I don't want to start off 8 o'clock. I'm just so please bear with me. I want to kill my YouTube because I don't want to. Is that going on? Yep, that's going on. And I have to shut this down. And again, this is an all-in chat, man. So hopefully some people will come in and then you guys can share your opinions, especially about what I'm going to talk about. As you can see by the title, Xbox losing their culture of gaming, right? And this is something that I've been ultra focused on personally, right? In my own dealings as the way I consume my content. When it comes to Xbox, not just the brand but the ecosystem, not just the console but the ecosystem, right? The entirety. And you guys should know that because I talk about it a lot on this channel. Also, just letting you guys know, right? If I have to keep on reminding you, dude, the name of my channel is Xbox All In. I am a pro Xbox channel. That's the perspective that I bring when I talk about this kind of stuff. I do check my bias though, or at least I try to. And if I don't, man, call me out in the chat. Definitely, dude. We can have that discussion as well. But, let's kick it off. Let's get it started. If you're jumping in. And the reason I'm doing this podcast, right, is because I had an interesting conversation with the Xbox brethren, and you guys know who they are. It's the usual suspects that either come to the podcast or guys that I reference when they do videos. For example, Unlimited Production has been really busy. He has been putting out a lot of the content that he normally does, but he did 2 videos, and I just found out about the other video this morning when I was looking through content when I was trying to bring up my YouTube. I didn't know he did another video a couple days ago, but yesterday they had a roundtable. Again, with the usual suspects, you guys know the crew that are in the group: Sega Man, E-Rockx, uh, Ebot, Tuckmaster, Unlimited himself, and Dale's back, which is good to see. All of the guys in the group respect Dale's opinion. Um, she just has this way of thinking that causes you to think, whether it's about gaming or anything else. To be honest with you, I've done a couple videos with Dale, the stuff that's kind of outside the Xbox ecosystem, right? And it was just nice to hear everybody's voice and have them all, chime in. It's been a long time since we've done stuff, but the reason I'm doing this video is because of the chat we're having. We have a chat group and we're talking about it, and I kind of got to get this thing off my chest, guys. As you know, on my channel, man, if you guys follow the channel for any length of time, you guys know how I feel about Xbox, right? Again, like I just said, I'm a pro Xbox channel, right? I bleed green. No matter what the situation would be with Xbox or Microsoft, unless they do something absolutely important, right? Like something that's outside of themselves and outside the norm, which they won't because that's not the type of company they are. In fact, a lot of the things I have a problem with Xbox, I wish they were a little bit more forceful in what they're doing. Right, case in point, I know a lot of people are upset about the pricing of the handheld that was released. I did see that. The guys talked about it in the podcast um, as well. I am of the vein that I don't care. I think I talked about this a week ago, right? I don't. Oh no, that was about the Xbox price increase on the consoles. I don't care. I don't, right? Because I've been with Xbox since Xbox One released. I paid day one. I bought the majority of the games. I believe I bought all the games. Yeah, I think. Well, anyway, when the Xbox One released, I was there day one, and I never looked back. I tell you guys this all the time, right? I've been bleeding green since then. You guys know my gamer tag is Sega Forever, right? Hardcore Sega fan. And Sega left the hardware industry. And at some point in time, around 2013, I had a choice to make. Right, I decided not to go multi-console because I was multi-console for the main reason why is because hardcore gamer, love playing games. But the other reason why is I was buying all of Sega's products because they became a publisher, right? And they went multi-platform. They didn't have any hardware, so I had all the consoles so I could play all the games. But in 2013, I had to make a decision. Sega had changed. A lot of their leadership left. A lot of the guys that I used to follow, the developers, everybody moved on. They restructured their company, restructured their team. At some point in time, Sammy got involved with that, and then it became a different company. And I was still following them. Don't get me wrong. Once I'm a fan of something, I'm a fan, right? But at the end of the time, they just weren't the same company for me. The company that I grew up, the way that I consumed the games that they made. I tell you guys on my channel again, right? For me, Sega didn't start on the home console. It started in the arcades because that's where I spent a lot of my time growing up, is in arcades first. right? A lot of you guys are spoiled now because you have it so good with these home consoles, right? The stuff that you can do on a home console you couldn't do when I was growing up. You know, kicked off with the Atari back in the day for me, and all you have to do is just do a search, right? Go back, brush up on your gaming histories. A lot of you guys need to, right? Go brush up on your gaming history and get an idea of what it meant to be a gamer back in the 70s and 80s. Right? How the culture was back then with gaming. Right? That's why, and I think that matters because it was a little bit more real than what we have today. Everything right now is so instant; it's at your fingertips, and that's great, dude. That's when I was younger. I need to see the industry grow and develop, and the technology grow and develop and change over time. Right? This is something that you kind of hope for. Like we're boom, now we're here, right? But it was just a different beast back then, dude. You had to put in work, right? And by work, I mean you didn't have the internet, right? You couldn't talk to people all over the world, right? You had to make those relationships and those friendships in the arcade, right? You had to put yourself out there, right? Gaming back then was a little bit different. It wasn't accepted as it is now, right? There's a whole multitude of reasons why it was not cool to be a gamer, right? But you just did it because you were a gamer, and I think that's what that shaped the metal for a lot of us gamers in those early years. And for me, it's carried over, right? And I love gaming up until 2013. Like I starting to get off track, but when let's go back to 2013 when Xbox came on the scene, and I consciously decided to myself, right, to change up my gaming lifestyle, right, and say to myself, you know what, I'm just gonna get behind one console this time. And the reason I did that because when you're a multi-console owner, dude, like a lot of times you can't buy every single game, right? You have to pick and choose the best ones, right? And then gaming was in flux, man. Like I didn't think Nintendo and Sony, right? Especially, and you guys know I don't like Sony at all, especially when it comes to gaming. But at some point in time, I used to sit there and say, what are these two companies giving me? And when I did my little checklist mentally, and I looked at everything honestly, up and down, and I was honest with myself, I was like, look, I can do without Nintendo, and I can do without Sony. And I just said everything I'm looking at right now is on Xbox, right? Especially future proofing or future facing what my gaming is going to be moving forward from 2013 on. And all I could see was Xbox, right? A lot of the stuff that they were saying, which they got hate on, by the way, which everybody is doing nowadays, by the way, just to clear that up. But when I looked at it honestly, right, all biases aside, um, given the time that I had to game, given my money, given all that kind of stuff, dude, getting behind one console was a no brainer. Choosing Xbox was the initial the natural progression when it came to my gaming lifestyle. Right, you had a box that was future thinking, you had a box that had connectivity, you had a box that had a variety of gaming. Right, you guys have been doing this for over 40 years, guys. 40 plus years, right? Maybe 45, maybe 45, 47 years. Been a gamer, man. I am jaded when it comes to certain things, right? So a lot of times when I consume in the gaming media, I have to have something that's going to give me experiences that'll keep me excited and then that'll keep me dialed in. Right? I talk about this when it comes to entertainment. One of the reasons why I rant about certain things in entertainment is because a lot of the stuff that entertainment does right now is formulaic, and that won't be a problem if you're entertaining or if you can write a good story or if you can allow me to escape into whatever world you want me to escape in and keep me there. And that's hard for me because I've seen it all in my lifetime. Right? It's interesting dealing with my kids right now, going through the myriad of the stuff that they have, some of the stuff they listen to, some of the stuff they watch, right? And then having them go back in time, right? Perfect example is my daughter. She was listening to Spandau Ballet the other day, and there was this one song she kept on playing, and I was like listening to that song. Like she plays it in the car, but sometimes my thoughts are on other stuff, focusing on my drink, whatever. Right? So she's like, "Hey, okay, I want to play my music." She starts playing her music, and she played this song called "Gold." Wait, hold on, guys. Let me double check now. I want to give you guys, as we say here, bump scoops, false information. So yeah, Gold. And so it's playing in the background, and I hear it, but I'm not really listening to it. And then I just turned and I said, "Is that Spandau Ballet?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, what are you doing listening to that?" And it's not. Of course, everybody knows "True," right? That's their biggest song. Right? But they have a lot of great. They were just a great band. They had a lot of great B sides as well, in my opinion, right? Because look, I come from the age where you used to listen to the whole cassette tape or the whole album, right? Because you have to pay for it, man. Look, dude, you didn't have money, you bought something, dude, you would listen to the whole thing, right? You just did, and that's another thing over time that I saw change in the music industry, man. A lot of people that like music don't actually listen to it. Like they'll buy something, but they don't listen to it. Like they say they like a band, but they'll listen to just like maybe the top one, two songs of the band, right? Instead of listening to the whole band, right? Like a group like Faith No More, man. There's people that I find that say they're fans of Faith No More, but they don't know anything about their B sides or the stuff they put out internationally and stuff like that. And that's kind of old school. Dude. I mean, that's how it was, man. Like I tell you guys on my channel, I was the same way with comic books, and of course gaming. When it comes to Sega, that's why I was a big Sega fan, dude. I studied the company. I followed all the developers as much as I can, given it the way it was back then. Gaming media was way better, right? They do more interesting interviews, then they have to do the footwork, right, to get all the information. And the reason why, like I say on my channel all the time, these guys were true gamers as well. They love the industry, right? They that was their dream job, was being a journalist talking about video games, because they got to go to the events and meet the people and then bring all that information to guys like us in print. On top of that, now the internet came along and expanded that, right? But I'm old school, like I said. All right, guys, hold on, let me check this. So going back to 2013, that's what I did. I made a conscious choice to follow Xbox, and I never looked back. So I go through this whole diatribe to let you guys know when I'm talking about this stuff, as I criticize Xbox, it's with the best of intentions. I'm not doing it to bring anything down, right? I'm trying to be as honest as possible with you guys, but I have issues with what they're doing right now, and that's what this is all about, right? I also had because of the conversation the guys were having, right? Because again, when you're texting people, right, a lot of that stuff I don't like texting, right? Because I like to use a keyboard. I don't like using my thumbs to type in, right? And then you know, kudos to people that can do that. I don't have that ability, and I don't like doing that. Right? When I'm on the keyboard, it's just easy for me. I can type real quick. Right? So, but a lot of stuff gets lost in the translation. Right? When you're talking about this kind of stuff, right? I'm not like a person. Um, I can respect the past, dude. When it comes to gaming, it's not something that I want to really go back in time. That's why I say on my channel as well, dude. Some people, you guys have a nostalgic, almost romantic vision of history when it comes to gaming, until like again you recommend a game or you think where's this game, or why don't they bring it back, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize how bad the game were. And but what I mean by bad is outdated. It's not a bad game. For its time, it was actually really popular. Case in point, Battletoads, right? uh, a lot of people, man, when that game came back and they brought it back and people would play it, I believe it was on the Rare Collection, dude. It was like, yeah, dude, these games were hard, and they didn't have the myriad of gameplay that you have now, right? And so you're actually doing a one for one, right? That's why a lot of times these guys will try and update the game, keep the core elements of the game intact, but make it more for a modern audience, quote unquote, right? As long as they don't lose what the game was about and why people loved it, I think they can. And updating the game to me is no problem. Right? I play a lot of games that have been updated. Also play a lot of independent games or smaller games that are tribute games. Right. Like for example, I bought a helicopter game the other day because I love Desert Strike. That's one of my favorite games. And when I watched the trailer, that's what it looked like. Now, I went ahead and purchased the game, dude. I didn't pay the full price for it because I had a feeling like, look, dude, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but a lot of time imitation is just that, right? It's not going to be like the original. And I kind of had a feeling it wouldn't be like it. I waited for it to go like 50% off, and I was like, all right, I'll take a chance on it. And yeah, it's a great game. It's a fun game, but it's not. If you want a game that's like Desert Strike, this is not the game to get. It's more of a homage to what Desert Strike is. Controls are really bad for me, right? I mean, when you play a game like the Strike series, which was EA, by the way, guys, before EA was just ultra focused on sports. The one great thing about that game is was the control was tight, right? And when you played it, basically in Desert Strike, you have an Apache, right? And you're in the Middle East and you're taking out all these targets, rescuing people. You have missions to go on, And when you played that game, they just, and this is back in the 16-bit era, guys. They just had an 8 and 16-bit era. They just had a way that they understood how um, a vehicle's momentum should be, right? And it was perfectly done. There was like 3 games that came out after that. It was Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, and then Urban Strike. And I owned all 3. I put numerous hours on that. I told you guys I had a Sega Nomad, right? And I would play those games on the go, right? That's the last time I had a portable, right? Was Sega. And oh no, I take that back. I did have Nintendo's Game Boy and their variations on Game Boy. I did have that, so I do correct myself. But back in the day, dude, that was those kind of things were just because it just wasn't the way that we have gaming now, dude. They actually meant something. I feel meant more, right? Because gaming right now is in flux, dude. And as you can tell with a lot of the stuff that Microsoft is doing, right? A lot of the stuff that they're doing moving forward, that's it's they're changing, right? They're changing. So like I said in 2013 when I made that decision to go with Xbox, the reason why was played out um, over the next 13 years, 13, 14 years, right? And I never looked back until now, right? Because one of the main reasons I liked Xbox is because they were the only company, right, that was trying to create what I like to call the culture of Xbox, right? Because there is a gaming culture, and to me that's important, right? Again, you guys know I'm into fandom. If you guys, when I do my pop culture stuff, dude, even when I talk about politics, dude, everything has a culture to it, and that's the spaces I occupy. If there's no culture there for me, then I don't participate. There's no reason for me to be there, right? So this conversation we were having online amongst the guys, right, that I wasn't able to hammer home when I'm doing in this video, right, is to let you guys know that's the way I approach things, right? Xbox all in, bleed green, yada yada yada, all that stuff, right? But in order for me to occupy this space, man, there needs to be some type of culture that I can attach myself to. You guys, like, if you guys know me, like, people have come and gone on my channel and stuff like that. There's a core group of people here, and if you're just coming for the first time, there's something about me that you guys should understand. Right? So when I'm a fan of something, I'm a fan. But when I'm a fan of something, I have to attach myself to it for reasons, right? And I know this is not just me. This is a lot of other people. This is just me talking about myself. When it comes to video gaming, when it comes to comic books, when it comes to animation, when it comes to how I interact with brands, like all that stuff, right? I have to have something in there that's worthy for me to give my time and my money, but mostly my time, right? Like for example, I talk about K dramas, I talk about anime, right? I used to talk more about Disney. I was excited about Disney Marvel. I was excited about Disney Star Wars, right? Thought they had the best of intentions. Right? But at the end of the day, if I participate in your ecosystem, right, in the case of Xbox, or your brand, in the case of the hardware that they sell and the games that they sell, right, and the merchandising that they sell within their ecosystem, right, I have to have something to um, keep me engaged. I guess is the best way to put it, right? This is why, and that's what matters to me the most. This is why when Microsoft does something, right, like when they had the whole kerfuffle over what happened with Charlie Kirk and some of the reactions of the developers on there. That's why I can go on X and then write to Satya and write to um, Phil, right, and let them know, hey man, you guys need to get your crap together. Hey, this isn't cool, right? Because I'm not beholden to these guys, right? I have respect for Satya, respect for Phil, and the stuff they did as the brand, right? But for me, I can pause that and just let them know and let them know, hey, this isn't cool. What's going on with your employees, right? Same thing with Disney, right? You guys know I'm a huge Disney fan. I grew up on Disney. And I'm talking just not Disney Star Wars or Disney Marvel. I'm talking traditional Disney, man. And the company isn't what the company um, should be. Not just used to be, man. Because I know people talk about to me all the time, oh, it's changing, it's progression, it's growth. No, don't squash all that, dude. You have a brand, right? You've built your entire empire on this brand. You brought a lot of people who support you guys in this brand, and then now you guys are just like looking at those people and saying, no, enough. We want to go in a different direction, right? Which is fine. You can do that, dude. That is your company. That's your thing, Then you guys try and pursue people that really don't care anything about what you do, right? And meanwhile, the guys who have been there the whole time, right? And this is something that Hebot was talking about in the chat, and something he shout out to Unlimited. They did a pod, like I said, they did a podcast, and then Hebot brought this up. Right? There's this situation, right, where you come this far from the people that brought you there, and then all of a sudden you forget about the people. And I'll be honest with you, that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that because you're going in a different direction, you've ruined everything. You're ruining everything, and that's what you see with Disney Star Wars, and Disney Marvel. If you look at Marvel, again, I say this all the time. If you look at Marvel, their first phases 1, 2, and 3, they had a built-in plan, right? They had a vision, they had a goal, they had a roadmap, right? And then when after phase 3, they took that whole roadmap and turned it inside out for reasons, right? And you can go and do the research on it, man. These dudes went totally nuts. And everything, but the main thing is that everything that made them successful, they didn't do. And that's why they're in the situation they're in now. Totally avoidable, right? There was no superhero fatigue, nothing changed, right? What changed was them. And they made a conscious choice to change. Right? And I'm not saying that Xbox, I'm just using this as an example. So when a company like Disney or Marvel does this, right? Disney Marvel or Disney Star Wars does this kind of things, dude, I'm out, right? Because I have nothing, there's no reason for me to be there. Right, and I'm not, and I hear everything that they're saying. Right, they don't want me. They don't want me as a fan, and they don't want me as a consumer. Right? And that's why I'm able to step out. That's why when you have guys that are like E-Rock and Unlimited Production on their podcast, they're DC guys and they lambast Marvel. I don't care because I don't have no beholding to Marvel. Right, and when I look at Marvel, and I'm talking across the board, whether it's their comic books, whether it's their entertainment, whether it's their merchandising, all that kind of stuff, dude, I have no attachment to them anymore, right? Because the things that made me a Marvel fan, a hardcore Marvel fan, is gone. Right? It's only Marvel in name only. That's what it is. It's just this empty shell of a brand that no longer exists and doesn't occupy the space that I enjoyed when I was growing up. So it's easy for me to walk away. It's easy for me to critique them, right? When people ask my opinion, that's why I can give it, right? Because I'm not beholden to their brand or their company. I'm beholden to um, what Marvel stood for when I was actually a fan and participating. And if you're not going to give me that, I'll walk away. That's why it's easy for me to walk away, man. That's why sometimes I don't, I'll gripe and complain and I'll give my 2 cents on there, but I don't do these videos where I'm constantly berating these companies, man, because I don't care anymore. And that's the issue that Disney and Marvel don't understand. I'm not trying to get off on that. I'm using this as an example. That's what these guys don't understand. They've lost that connection. Definitely with me, but they've lost the connection across the board. And then all this other stuff now are starting to come in because they're like 10 years plus doing these things, man. And then you lose the connection, and then you're not getting any more new fans, right? Because the younger generation doesn't really care. I mean, there's people out there that are into it, but not on the level that it was when I was growing up, right? All of that, and it's happening in gaming, right? It's happening with movies, right? Everything's changing, everything's in flux. Younger generation are just are tuning into different things and consuming things in a different way. And these companies are trying to figure out the formula, and there is no formula. That's the problem, dude. They're too ultra focused on this kind of stuff. That's why they're failing. Whether it be in video games, movies, comic books, all this stuff, right? Because you can't organize it. You can't. There's some things you can do as a business, right? But at the end of the day, dude, because of the type of medium that pop culture is, dude, you can't. You can try. You might be a little successful, but you're not going to be. It's not going to be lasting because you can't formulate this kind of stuff, dude. At the end of the day, there's a creative process to it, right? There's a connection, right? That these companies don't have with their fan bases anymore, right? There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen organically, right, for this stuff to be successful, man, and they're just not doing it. And I think and I'm not saying that's where Xbox is. I'm just using that as an example, right? Because oddly enough, Xbox does the one thing that they should be doing absolutely correctly, and that's games. At the end of the day, whatever they do politically, whatever they're gonna do with AI and awakening Skynet to kill us all, right? Whatever they do politically across the board, right? No matter what they do with their money, all that stuff aside, dude. When it comes to me and Xbox, dude, the one thing they got down is their games, right? Second to none. Nobody can touch them, right? Even some of the most ardent of haters will have to acknowledge this stuff, and they do, right? Either they do it that they kind of have a moment of clarity, or they do it kind of like because they have to face the reality of what's going on with the brand and with gaming in general, man. Because the other companies are actually following suit. This is why I say all the time, right? That there's Microsoft should just take over gaming because they already are the big dog, and they're the big dog in the fight, man. The other two don't matter, right? It's all about Microsoft right now, right? And they should just, like that's again going back to the pricing for the handheld. Don't care. I can't buy it, right? So, I mean, full disclosure, I can't game on a portable, right? I'm not even like when I use my phone, I have to use my phone. I told you guys I have health issues, man, that make it impossible. That's not good for me to to uh, to be looking down on a screen, right? It's not ergonomically viable for me to do that. I just put it that way. So that's not even a option for me, and I've said that on my channel, right? But that all of that aside, dude, I don't care that they're charging $1,000 for it. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. If you don't like it, then don't buy it. Don't support it, right? If you think that Xbox is overcharging you for something that's not worthy, right? Because contrary to popular belief, everybody puts a value on something, right? And I've been doing that my whole life. And for most people, that value is attributed to cost, right? I talk about the economy on my channel as well. All of that stuff is attributed to cost and how much it's going to cost you, right? If can you afford to take on that cost? And for most people right now, especially in this economy, they can't afford to pay $1,000. But Microsoft decides they're going to roll with it. I told you guys when they did the price increase, man. I have 5 Xboxes in my house, right now, and I think 20 plus controllers. They're all they're all over the house, right? Because I play in my room. My kids have their own stuff, all that stuff, right? Right. My son came the other day. Like I said, he was looking for the 360. He grabbed the 360, and he went and got the Xbox One S that I bought for him, the special edition Fortnite edition because he loves Fortnite. And then he was rummaging through the games, and I was like, oh wow, I do have a lot of physical games still, right? And he was looking for all these old games, and he grabbed them, took it with him. Right, he's in college right now, and so I'm like, yeah, okay, good, take whatever you want, right? But if my Series X breaks, I can just play the S. If the S breaks, I just play the one. Oh wait, I got the S, SX. Wait, Xbox One X. I have an Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, Xbox One. I have 2 Xbox One S's, I think. One of my daughters is done. Yeah, my daughter has one too. The One X. And then we have the S. Yeah, so like 5 consoles. Multiple controllers, right? So if something goes down, dude, I just switch to the other console. Now, granted, I'll have to get the X to get the full experience of it, right? Which I probably will. Right. So take care of your equipment, guys, right? It's so important to take care of your equipment. But like Hiba was saying, man, for the longest time, dude, Xbox has been taking it. They've been the whipping post for a lot of the people in gaming. A lot of the people that hate them, number one. A lot of the people that want to profit, right? All the influencers there, because that's the narrative, and they run with it, right? All these guys don't have Xboxes, they don't have Game Pass, they don't play in the ecosystem. They don't know what they're talking about. That's why I don't. That's why I'm like this on my channel, right? Trying to speak truth to power, right? Because I own the console, I'm in the ecosystem, I play it. This is also why I can criticize them, right? This is why I can do a video like this talking about them losing their culture of gaming. Because at the end of the day, this stuff matters, not just to me, man, but to a lot of people, right? Because what's happening now, if Xbox loses this culture, dude, then all you have is a piece of plastic and a transactional, and a transaction. It just becomes transactional, right? And that's what I see right now, right? The positive thing, right? Again, for the one, what the Xbox is built for right now, right, is exactly why you have an Xbox, is to play your games, and not just to play your AAA games, which they have. They're what is it called? First party, right? Was the narrative first party AAA bangers? They have their studios and they put those games out there. That's why a lot of people is exposed. right? Because at the end of the day, it was none about it. He bought said this yesterday. It was none about this. Nothing to do with the quality of the games. Nothing to do about the about having these type of games, right? It was just using it ammunition in a console war, right? Because when Xbox did all this kind of stuff, right, the people still didn't respond on the level that they said they would, right? Like if you do this, I'll buy an Xbox. Do this. So Microsoft finally is putting their foot down and it's like, look, we have tariffs, whatever. Microsoft, you do you, right? You're a $1 trillion company, man. You get no sympathy from me. You're in the $1 trillion club, right? If you're gonna complain about politics and you're gonna complain about tariffs, then uh, you'll get no sympathy from me, and you're not gonna get a sympathy from a lot of other people. Because at the end of the day, if you play that card, people are gonna look at you and like, dude, you're $1 trillion company. Why can't you get the cost? You're $1 trillion company. Why are you having problems with your hardware, or why is the cost of your hardware? I put this in the chat with Unlimited when they were talking about this yesterday. When I was listening to the podcast. I'm like, they resurrected a 40, 50-year-old nuclear power plant. That was the bane of the existence of nuclear power. When everybody would bring up nuclear power in the country, right? This is the nuclear power plant that would go to, which is 3 Mile Island, right? That was the big right. That was the big no. Don't do that, right? You had a new administration come in, right? And then all these tech giants were like, oh, we need AI and we need power, we need nuclear power. And on a dime, they shifted, right? Boom, just like that, right? So, again, Microsoft, if you can do that, if you can totally flip the script on 3 Mile Island and why we need nuclear power and that you can spend all that money, you can, if it's about the parts, we all know, right? Those of us guys that do more than just follow the gaming, the sport, right? We all know, right? For whatever deals you might have had in China, for whatever reasons why you didn't shift like everybody else did and went to Vietnam or Southeast Asia, right? Um, that's on you guys. Dude. I'm just gonna be honest. I just gotta throw that out there. That's on Microsoft, and they can do this. They can do this again. I'm not complaining about them doing this for various reasons. Like I said, people complained all the time. Xbox this, Xbox that, Xbox this, and I've said on my channel, dude, Xbox, put your foot down, right? Be the behemoth, right? As Z used to say, be the behemoth that you guys that we know you are, and they are right now. They're doing that, right? They're doing that. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna charge what we feel we need to charge for our brand. Now, and as a consumer, right? Look, dude, I hear some people complaining about this. It's not your right, right, to have access, right? The only thing you have, and it's something, and it's a good thing, right? I believe in the power of the consumer is what you have, right? And it's a good thing that you're going through this, right? Because it's important for you to realize that you have the power of consumer and that you don't have to participate in their whatever their plans are. And this is with me with my consumer hat on, right? And that's the best thing that you can do, right? It's just to walk away and to let them know, no, this is not what I'm cool with, and don't spend your money. And a lot of you, that's going to be easy because you don't have the money. And I'm not, I'm in that pot too, bro. I'm in there as well, dude. $1,000 for the, if I wanted that handheld, that $1,000 for the Series X, I probably wouldn't get it because to me, um, regardless if I could use it or not, dude, I don't know if I could justify that price. And I can say that openly and honestly because I do this with every single thing. This is why I don't lose my mind when people talk about the economy, right? Like all these people are like, "Oh, Xbox raised the prices, Xbox this, Xbox that." And I'm like, dude, do you pay for get your gas? Do you have a car note? Do you pay for your insurance? Car insurance, health insurance? Do you pay for any of that stuff? Right? Are you like the majority of us right now that are like, okay, I better start drinking beet juice? That's what I'm doing right now. I'm drinking beet juice, man, because I don't want to end up in an emergency room or go to the hospital. Right? When you have like I just put it out there, dude, circulation issues. Right? I'm at an age where when you get older, this is for you guys out there, man. For some of you guys that are experiencing um, all this stuff that's going on, right? Physically, as you get up in age, go research beats. Right? Now, because of the way my health is, I choose to go with a non-concentrated, fresh beet juice. I buy that. I go to Down to Earth. That's our vegetarian like health food store. there, and they have a brand there that's not concentrated. That's almost a one for one. The only other best thing you can do is actually buy the fruit yourself and get a juicer, which I have. I bought a juicer. I have a juicer that I own right now, and like I can make cabbage juice, all this kind of stuff. Right. So why am I bringing this up? Right. This is the level of which now. This is where my focus is. Right. Because you don't want to go to the emergency room right now. Dude. Like most insurances don't cover your emergency, right? This is why when people go to the emergency room, they think their insurance cover it, then they get a bill for $700 to $1,000, and it's going up, right? That's the reality of the economy, right? As it stands right now, right? For a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck, before you be okay, like you have a certain amount of money, you understand how that money works. You have bills that you got to pay. If something comes up, like you have a little on the side, right? But the way people were doing for the last 4 years, right? This just didn't happen overnight, guys. What the people were doing, right, is just like if you have a flat tire, right, and then you go to the dealership, right, and then the dealership looks at all your tires and it's like, okay, you need to replace all your tires, and that's going to be about 1,600. You could get it as low as 1,100, but definitely more than 1,000. Right. And then you have options, right? But those options aren't available to you. For example, have a Sam's membership. It would be cheaper at Sam's. Maybe under Sam's you could get in the $900 range, right? But what tends to happen is like, okay, wait, so what tires do I definitely? I can't replace all four tires. I can't afford it. What can I do right now for the? What tires can I get away with right now? And they'll usually tell you two, right? And then if worst case you don't have the money, they'll do the one, but they recommend the two, and then they definitely recommend you get the other tires. You know what I'm saying? So something like that right now, where that was just a annoyance, right? Because it's going to cost you money, right? That you probably have planned to either go out or a vacation or do something. All that stuff's out the window, dude. Right now, it's just like, okay, I can't afford this stuff. I gotta something simple as that could break you. You go to the dentist, dude. You have to get a root canal. Dental don't cover it anymore because your dental plan changed. All of that stuff. Hey, what's up, Mr. Kima? Sorry, I was opining. Walmart stopped eating the cost of tariffs and passing on to the consumer. Yeah, and that's their choice to make, Mr. Kima. 100%. They're a business. They want to do that. McDonald's does the same thing. McDonald's irritates me because they're trying to say that the tariffs are positive. Like, no, it's not. Right? They're using that as an excuse, McDonald's. But Walmart definitely, right? Because the way where they get their materials from. Right? And so I make the conscious choice of not to go to Walmart. Because and it's not a political thing, dude. I'm like, dude, you're gonna charge me how much this stuff? Like, okay, so I bought these shelves for my daughter. These shelves were like $22, right? Now they're like 45, $50 for these shelves. The same shelf. In fact, they didn't. This isn't new stuff that shipped in. This is their inventory of stuff. They just raised the prices on it. There was no shipping involved in that. Right? A lot of times, look, dude, I'm a pro-capitalist kind of guys, but a lot of times you guys gotta understand that these dudes are trying to cover their bottom line, right? They want to be profitable. And for me, I'm like, okay, I understand you want to be profitable, but times have changed right now. So your profit doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is my cost. Right. Right. I know you guys got your stockholders and all this stuff, right? You guys want to make your bottom line, but I don't care about your bottom line because your bottom line doesn't help me at all. So if you feel like you need to charge me an extra $30 for something I know that's not worth it, then by all means do it, dude. I'm a capitalist too. I believe in capitalism, brother, but I'm like a free market flow type of capitalism, dude. I'm not a crony. I'm not a crony capitalist. I'm none of that kind of stuff, dude. I believe in winners and losers, right? But for a lot of these big corporations, man, what they try and do is they try and block out the people that are coming up, and I think that's wrong. I'm 100% on that, dude. So Walmart can do whatever they feel like they can, right? Because at some point in time, right, you have to shop. There's stuff that you have to buy, but it actually boils down to the consumer and how they do it. Like if you don't like the price of the Xbox, don't buy it, dude. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you, oh no, you need to buy it because it's the best and all that kind of stuff, dude. I'm not a PlayStation guy, and I just don't say stuff to say stuff. Right? When somebody tells me, dude, $1,000 is too much for a handheld console, I'm like, yeah, 100%, dude. I get you. I know, right? I'm not buying it. Even if I could use it, I wouldn't buy it. Right? Because I don't see that value there. That there's people that find the value, and I'm also the type of guy that don't tell you how to spend your money, dude. If you have the money to spend it, there's people with money in the world, right? And either they got it because maybe they created an app, they sold it to a big corporation, and now they're billionaires or millionaires, right? There are people like that can do this, right? And I'm not hating on either. I'm not a hater, bro. I don't. Hey man, hey, congratulations, bro. Good job, man. You created something somebody found value in it and you got money for it, right? Like you got paid, the company took that and then now they're getting paid on it, dude. That's capitalism. I have no problem with that at all, and I don't hate on people for doing that. Somebody that on YouTube become an influencer and make bucks off of that kind of stuff, dude. That's the way it is. People have money in this world where they can afford to do there's certain things that other people cannot, right? And if Walmart wants to do that, dude, they're not starving. Their family's not starving, right? I saw that this is the son or the grandson running the show. Oh, sorry guys, I think I lost. Oh, my screen. Oh no, okay, I'm back. Sorry, dang, that was weird. My screen just kind of flipped. So hey man, you guys have generational wealth. I don't have a problem with that, dude. But you sitting there telling me with all the guys' money you have, as big as a corporation you have. Now I understand, right? They have to be business smart, business savvy. But I don't think this is the right way to go. And if they're gonna decide to do that, which they absolutely can, dude, I'm not hating on them. I'm just gonna not shop there. Right? And that's what I do, Mr. Kima. I've been like that my whole life, dude. I grew up poor, right? I didn't, and I grew up so poor I didn't know I was poor. People had to tell me I was poor because they see the food I ate, where I lived, the clothes I wore, and they're like, "Are you okay? Is your family all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Right? Ate canned food. Right? I just thought canned food was just regular food, spam, Vienna sausage, corned beef hash, dude, meat product, luncheon meat, all that stuff, dude. That's a Hawaii thing too. And when you don't know, dude, just like I thought everybody ate that stuff. And I moved to someplace else and I found out really quickly that there is social classes, right? And I didn't have no idea about that. It didn't even. And the great thing about it is I grew up that way. It didn't even bother me that there were. I'm just like, oh, I'll just keep on eating spam because I like spam, right? Not because I was poor. I just like spam. And if you ever come to Hawaii, man, spam is huge here. There's a culture of spam. Getting back to culture. But yeah, I get you, Mr. Kimo. I refuse to participate in Walmart's delusion. I'm like, dude, if hey, dude, maybe you can't get that. Maybe you can't get that $15 million bonus, dude. There's a lot of people that aren't getting bonuses, and they're not only are they not getting 50 million bonuses, they're not getting any bonuses at all. Right? There's people that time off has gotten cut. People can't go on vacation. People losing their jobs. Don't really care if you need to make your bottom line. I mean, if that's them, then they do them, but I don't participate in that. Mr. Kima says those that are complaining about the Xbox handheld prices are the very people that went out and bought 1,500. Awesome point, Mr. Kima. Bought $1,500 to $2,000 phones. 100%, Mr. Kima. 100%. Right. So again, that's what I mean. The value, right? What value do you place on something? For a lot of people, that value is an Xbox. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I know I'm going to get hate for this. It's good to see that Xbox is finally beginning to realize their worth. I don't think their worth is 1,000, but you do you, right? I'm like, all right, if that's what you feel, man, if that's how you feel about it, then roll with it, man, and see what happens. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Kimo, right, we all know how this game is played, right? You're gonna charge me $80 for a video game. I am not gonna buy your $80 video game. That game better be pure gold for me to buy, right? I mean, it has to be that good. And right now, there is no game out there that justifies the $80 because you're producing all these gems of titles and you've been satisfied with 60. Then you guys went to 70, right? The writing was on the wall, but you guys were doing this for so long at this price point. So what changed, right? Again, it's like those shelves at Walmart, right? Why did it go from $22.93? Because Walmart has a weird pricing, freaking weird pricing, $22.93. So bro, just round up and tell me $23, right? Why do you go from $22.93 to $45.25? Like, explain that to me. Explain what happened. What transition? What transition when that boxes of shells were sitting on the shelf? What magically happened? See, that thing increased. Like when it was sitting on the shelf, did the wood turn from that cheap generic manufactured wood to solid oak? Right? Did that wood that the box in that wood when it was sitting there on the shelf last week magically transform into some kind of sandalwood rare earth mineral? Some rare earth mineral compound occupied the shelf and made it into diamond. I don't know, right? Like, and they do this, dude, and they think we're stupid. That's another thing. It's insulting. If I'm being honest, that's another reason I won't respect. And again, I want to do a video. I know I keep on saying this. I want to do a video, man. We're going to talk about McDonald's, man, because when people are telling me this stuff is too expensive, what's going on with the prices, I was telling them I felt genuinely insulted that McDonald's of all places, right, would try and charge me over $10 for a combo meal. That their food is worth what they're charging me, and I wasn't just upset. I was offended by that. Right. I actually wrote in the comments of the CEO. I'm like, do you know who you are? You are McDonald's, right? You occupy a certain space, and you guys are trying to punch above your pay grade, and it's not going to work, right? Because your food is not that quality. The quality of your food and what it exists for does not match the price, not even close. And what they're banking on, a lot of these companies are banking on, is just your creature of habit. But what they don't understand is it doesn't matter if you're a creature of habit or not, right? You're just broke. Broke trumps all this stuff, dude. Being broke trumps all that stuff. And that's what people have to understand as well when it comes to gaming. All this stuff that we enjoy, dude, is not necessities. Right? Now, Microsoft is Microsoft, dude. They're a $1 trillion company. That's why I have no sympathy for them. When it comes to some of the stuff they're talking about with their financials, I'm like, I don't care. You're like you're what, one or two? There's only 2 or 3 companies they're in that they're in the 1% of the 1%. They're that level, and I'm happy for them, dude. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. They're doing a lot of cool stuff as an American company, outside of the fact of where they build their stuff and their supply chain issues, right? And not putting their foot down on certain things that they should. Case in point with this stuff, they're actually doing it right. They feel like, okay, we feel like this is what our worth is. Now it's up to you as a consumer to reply in kind. If you feel that it's worth it, right? And regardless if you have money or you don't have money, right? Because there's people that have money that just buy stupid stuff all the time because they can, right? It shouldn't be that way either. Dude. You should really actually look at stuff. Honestly, you make a good choice. And again, I'm not here to tell people what to buy or what not to buy, but there are people doing that, right? Because if you ever get to a point where you're not on that level, it'll be hard for you to adjust. Like I saw it with Starbucks, man. I know a lot of people that are addicted to Starbucks. I'll go there. Over time, I've not addicted, but I've learned to accept that I do like some of the stuff that they have there. For the longest time, I wouldn't go to Starbucks. Then I went there and tried the food. Like there's stuff that they had that I like, dude. But what I don't do is if I have my last $10, I'm not gonna cry over the fact that I can't have my a mocha frappuccino, right? Or in my case, I have a flat white with a triple espresso shot. Right? I'll do that. Even me saying that, dude, I would do videos where I talk about this in like Nazi speak, with this kind of stuff, because they have their own language, right? When any company tries you to start talking their own language, that's when you gotta be extra careful, man. Your spidey sense would tingle, right? When you see that. So for me personally, when I went and I participated in the ecosystem, but I wasn't like same thing with iPhone, dude. I'm not a fan of Apple. I don't hate Apple, but I'm not out there championing every single iPhone that comes out, right? And in fact, some of the stuff they do, I don't really care for. But the one thing they do right when it comes to their phone is it provides a service for me that I like, and it's not complicated. That's the only reason why I have an iPhone. Now, I don't buy the newest iPhone because I don't think there's anything worth that price. Like you just said, Mr. Kimo, 1,500 to 2,000 iPhones, and these people are complaining about Xbox. Yeah, 100%. Right? It's all, and I'm glad. What this will do is like everything else that Xbox has done as far as gaming is they'll do the heavy lifting, they'll listen to everybody, then they'll present the stuff, and they'll just look at the numbers and see if the people are actually responding to it or not. And they've had over where 2005, they've had over, what was that, 12 years? They've had 12 years to realize this. And now they're learning. I wish they were a little bit more faster. I wish they were a little bit more forceful in what they do. Because at the end of the day, if I'm being honest, it's not even about the console war. It's about me as a consumer and as a fan, which is why I'm doing this, the culture of gaming. So I don't know how you feel about that, Mr. Kimo, or anybody else. I know there's a couple people watching. You chime in if you want to, if you can. But I think that's important. I think the culture of gaming is important. And again, this is a discussion we're having in our chat group. Right? It's not about me opining for days of the past. I've gone beyond that. Of course, there's the nostalgia. Everybody loves nostalgia, right? Nostalgia can be good, can be bad. But sometimes nostalgia, right? People will try and do something and it's horrible, right? And then it ruins a brand or it ruins something that you love. That's not what I'm about. What I'm talking about is my engagement, with Xbox. And for me to engage with Xbox, dude, and to be engaged with them, like completely engaged with them, dude, I need to have some type of connection to them. If I don't have a connection to them and it's just strictly transactional, which is the direction we're kind of heading in, right, with Xbox, right, then I won't have that same type of engagement. Like I'm honestly thinking, I'm like, why even have the channel? Because that was presented to me in the chat. One of the guys asked, well, because we're debating this stuff, right? And I'm like, look, dude, it doesn't matter to me what the numbers are, or that they're successful, or that they're in the $1 trillion club. Sure, that has an impact because that could mean that you can get better games, that stuff that they're working on AI can make even better, all that kind of stuff. But those are stuff we don't know about. Right? The stuff that's affecting me right now that you guys are doing, dude, it's taking me out of your ecosystem, right? To the point, and I'm not saying I'm there, guys, because again, the whole caveat to this is what Xbox does well, and it's the main thing they should be doing well is games, and even consumer being consumer friendly. The $1,000 thing aside, like as Mr. Keeman, that's why thank you, Mr. Keeman. 1,500, 2,000 for phones, stuff that people spend their money on. Microsoft is just telling you guys now, this is what we think we're worth, and we want you to participate or not. And it's my understanding this stuff sold out because again, there's people that can afford this kind of stuff, and there's people who can't. Right? This is what people are seeing right now. That's why you have people doing these commentaries about the have and the have-nots. I do it on my channel too when I come to economy, not to hate on people, but just to show the reality of the monetary divide that's happening with people right now. Right? Like, look, dude, there's people struggling right now. Some people out that it's not they're struggling because things have changed. There's people struggling because they made bad choices. There's people struggling because of outside forces, and all of that rolled into one. And that's why you have all these people talking about it right now. Because it doesn't matter where you are on the social scale or on the economic scale, dude. You could get hit by this, right? You could be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, get diagnosed with something, and now all your time and effort is spent on medical bills and having medical treatment, right? Dude, one of the great equalizers, dude, is like for all the people that sit there and scream at me online about diversity and stuff like that. One of the most diverse things out there is poverty. Because poverty doesn't care who you are, don't care what race you are, what color of skin you are, how rich you are, how poor you are. It'll take everybody. Right? It's the ultimate inclusion, right? Is poverty. And at the end of the day, dude, it's just Microsoft telling you, okay, we think this is what we're worth, right? Obviously, the Microsoft has their hands in what's going on with Xbox. I didn't want to believe that. I was hoping it wasn't true, but it's definitely a reality, right? Because everything's going to scale with them now. Like they're looking at, okay, this is what the money we put in. What are we going to get out of it? Which I get it, and I understand. I'm a numbers guy as well, but in a creative process, that could be bad, right? And I mean a good creative process, not a destructive creative process. Not going out there online mouthing off about something you shouldn't be mouthing off on company time on a company account or as a representative of a $1 trillion company. Right? Keep your trap shut. Put your head down and go to work. And I've always been like that. It's not just a Microsoft thing, dude. I was in the military. I've always been this way, dude. Even with my first job, people would be like doing stupid stuff. I was like, hey guys, come on, man, let's get to work. When you go to work, go to work. If you got a job, be thankful. There's a lot of people without jobs right now. There's a lot of people worrying about jobs, whether they're going to keep it or not. Right? Be thankful, right? And take this time to ultra focus on why you do the job that you do and why you like that job and why you work for that company. And if you don't, man, make those changes that way, right? But don't shoot yourself in the foot. I don't know why people are doing this now, doing these stupid things and reacting to politics, right? And getting fired. They're getting fired. And we live in a digital age now, guys. You getting fired, dude. That you carry that record with you. That is with you forever. Yeah. Forever, ever, yeah, forever, ever. Right? That does not go away. And like I said in my previous video, you're living in a time where people are looking for any reason to get rid of people. Right? I'm telling you, man. There's HRs, there's these CEOs, there's these supervisors, management, upper, middle, high. All these guys, right? They're sitting over there trying to find legal ways to get rid of people. Right? Because we have laws in this country, man. If they could, they just fire everybody. But most companies have to adhere to certain laws, labor laws, right? The way their companies are set up and stuff like that, right? You have to have reason and laws. Some aren't like that, and some states are like that, right? Right. But they also got to think about their image and how people are going to react, all this kind of stuff, right? So if somebody like myself, right, sees you saying something stupid, then I go to your company, I say, hey, is this your employee? What do you think they do? They see that and they're like, oh, okay. And then they go to their meeting, well, John's gone. Did you see what John did? Okay, we can get rid of him. They might agree with John and what he said, right? I don't know if this politically. I'm talking beyond politics, dude. This is just bottom line stuff that everybody should be aware of. Right? And I know the younger generation don't know this kind of stuff because things haven't been that way. But when I was growing up, dude, I got a job, dude. I wanted to keep that job because before that, I didn't have a job and I didn't have money. Right? And I liked when I got my first paycheck. I was like, oh wow, that's how it works. I like money, so I think I want to keep my job because I want to make more of this money. Because when I have more of this money, I can like pay for stuff in my house and I can buy stuff that I want. Right? That's how it's supposed to work. Right? And I know maybe the last generation would be pushing it, which I don't know. Anyway, getting back to the topic, right? This is why I don't care about what Microsoft chain is charging. Right? I can't control what they do. I can control what I do. Right? And it's been like that with okay, getting back to the culture, right? And it's been like this with Microsoft for the last couple of years. What they've been doing, slowly but surely, right? I find myself not being invested in their ecosystem because they're doing stuff that, and I'm not blaming them. Like it's not a, I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose just to piss me off or to take me out of it. What I'm saying is the actions because they're making business decisions on the levels that they're at. That's affecting me on my level where I'm at and how I participate in the ecosystem. Again, I talked about this. Didn't like the fact that they got rid of the movies and the TV thing. Right? And people push back on me is like, there's the cost and the licensing. I know, I get all that kind of stuff, bro. But for years, you've done that. For years, you've done it, right? Because you've been selling the ecosystem, which is what I bought into. This is why I bought the Xbox One. It's the all-in-one console. That's why my channel is Xbox All In, right? I bought into all of that, and that Xbox One shifted and changed. Now the good thing about it is over time they found other things to kind of take its place to keep me engaged. All the yada yada yada. ID at Xbox, Game Pass, all that stuff, right? Consumer friendly, right? They weren't the first ones to raise the prices, right? They weren't the ones to do any of all that kind of stuff. And people spat on them. They beat them up. They spat on them, dude. They kicked them when they were down. All of that stuff. And then Microsoft just kept on smiling and just kept on, yeah, how about this and how about that? How about Game Pass, right? How about backwards compatibility? The one thing everybody complained about. The entirety of the time I've been gaming. Why do I have to buy a new console? Why when I bought a new console, why doesn't my old game plays on the new console? And Microsoft tried to fix that, right? And not just the consumers, even the gamers, the industry itself turned their back on it. Right? Some of it on a competitive status, right? It would give them an edge, right? But you think a lot of these guys, for all the opining they do about the creative process and making sure creators this and all this crap, it's all about the games. Yeah, well, that all went out the window. That's why I love Microsoft. Microsoft is like one of the most. They're like that litmus test for a lot of the crap that gets said in the gaming industry, right? Either by the media or influencers, and Microsoft will do something and then you find out no, it's all a lie. They just wanted clout, they just wanted views, they just wanted clicks. They don't know what they're talking about, so they'll talk about something, right? And the biggest punching bag is Microsoft. They've been taking it all this time. Do they still do stuff I don't agree with? Yes. Right. I'll probably talk about that a little bit as we transition into the Tokyo Game Show. But anyway, just to kind of put a lid on it, dude, as far as the culture of gaming, that matters to me. Right. And Xbox is definitely losing that, dude. I started off with Xbox in the One era, or not the One era, but the or OG era, right? And for the pinnacle of my gaming with Xbox was definitely the 360 era. But Xbox One was that segue, or OG Xbox was a segue to the 360 generation, which I will put up there, right, with some of the best generations, mostly in the Sega diaspora of what gaming should be and what gaming got right, and that was that 360 era. Right? And if you go back and watch the documentary Power On, I highly recommend you guys watch that. There were so many things going against Xbox, and I was one of those. I was there. I was there, and I was. I'm not saying I was hating Xbox, but I was definitely not a believer. I was like everybody else because we're gamers, right? We're like, what are you doing? Like, why do you want to come here? And the stuff was out there. It's in more detail in the documentary. I highly recommend you guys watch it again. It's a good documentary. Not just because it's Microsoft and Xbox, to drop some knowledge, but it's a well done documentary. It's one of the best. I love watching documentaries. It's one of the best I've seen. Production wise, interviews, pacing, the whole nine. They got the chronological order of everything. Because again, I was there, guys. I lived it. I lived it. I don't have to Google it. I was there. I experienced it firsthand. But I was one of those guys that I saw when the Xbox come out. I knew the excitement was there. I'm a gamer. I was like, oh, maybe this is gonna be cool. And then some of the failures they had up until the launch, and then went through all of that myriad of stuff, and then ultimately it was Halo that got me to get into Xbox. And you can't take that away from me. And guess what that is, guys? That's culture. When you hear people talk about what's so good about Xbox, that's culture. When somebody talks about Halo, and lovingly talks about Halo, not just the experience, but the complete experience they get from being a Halo fan or playing Halo for the first time, right? Or um, playing a game that wasn't online, but everybody had their own TV and they had a landline running through all the different rooms and stuff like that. That's culture. That's Xbox culture. That's what I'm trying to talk about today. Hey, Tom, man, what's up, brother? If I had to put a label on it, put a face on it, that's what I'm talking about. Think about those LAN parties, right? Think about how much, if you were there at that time, especially think about how much time you spent um, multiple weekends with your friends, hanging out at somebody's house, bringing your own TV, connecting your own Xbox, playing on your own screen with lines that ran throughout the entire house. I did that. I did LAN parties. I participated in them. I hosted them. The last one I did was here at the house I'm living in right now. When I first got this house, it's 3 stories, right? I reused every single story, and there was wires running through the whole thing just to play. And everybody brought their TVs. That's that's Xbox culture. Yeah. Again, what's up, Tool Man, dude? If you have any comments, let me know. So let me ask you guys this: if you guys are still in the chat, I do see some people watching. Everyone, let me ask you guys like what do you think moving forward? What type of experiences are you think you're gonna get with Xbox and the ecosystem comparative to what Halo? I know Halo, that was a point in time, right? But it's still wonderful. It's still awesome. We still talk about it to this day, right? Now, I know the generation's changing. Now I'm getting older, right? My daughter plays Halo. She thought it was a pretty cool game. We played it, bought her little cat ears, right? She'll play it from time to time. But she's now playing Marvel Rivals, right? She's playing all these other games right now, right? But they exist because of Halo, right? That's the amazing thing about it, right? It's like a transition, right? So what do you guys think? What do you think about that? What's our next big thing culturally? Like, what are my kids are gonna have like 20 years from now when they think back on Xbox and talk about Xbox? What do you think they'll be talking about? You think they're gonna have a Halo story? Doubt it. I don't think they're gonna have any stories, honestly. I tell them that all the time. They kind of look at me. I don't do this to be mean. I'm just being honest. They don't have stories. I can tell them 5 million stories of life experiences, and it's just because of the way I grew up. Tell my daughter about the first job. Tell my daughter how I got hired at that job. Tell my daughter, um, you know, that I wasn't sure they weren't going to hire me at first because of my age, because I looked older than what they thought I was, right? And they took a chance on me. I made that chance count. I told her like I do the one job that they gave me, and I think looking back, right, I was like, oh, they probably gave me that job to see how I'd work out. There was this. I worked at that grocery store, and this grocery store had this room called the bottle room, right? And you went in that bottle room, and it was messy, dude, and it was nasty, right? Because that's when the store's busy, stock's busy, and stuff like that, and then nobody was going in there straightening and cleaning up. So they made me. So they were like, oh, before you go today, do you think you can clean this up? Can you get it done by the end of the day? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And I cleaned that entire bottle room up by myself, and I cleaned it like spick and span. You guys gotta understand the way I grew up, right? That was not hard for me because I did that at my house. Right? My grandmother who raised me had to work, right, and I had to take care of the house, everything. I had to do everything. Cook my own dinner, cook dinner for us when she came home, so she could eat because she had to go back to work. Right? So anyway, that's how I grew up. So they gave me that thing, and I cleaned that thing. It was spick and span. It was so we had a front end supervisor, right, and then he was answering to the lower level boss, and he came and checked on me, and I was done. I was finished with my work. And he walked in there and he was like, "Holy crap!" Like, he couldn't believe that this was the same room. He was so impressed. He went and got the other manager, and he came and looked at it. That manager got the top three managers, and came in there and looked at it, and that's how I became permanent. I'm not saying that to brag, guys. That's just what I'm saying is that's the experience that I had. That's my experience. I can talk about that because that's my experience. My kids don't have that. there's there's nothing. My kids don't. My kids don't have that. Like, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, good bad thing, but they just don't. Right? But that's a culture. That's a cultural thing. That's like something of my generation that my kids never had to experience, right? Like my son's first job was building solar panels. I was like, dang, okay, well, good on you. Like I was like amazed. Like he was using what's that? A CAD software. I didn't even know he could do that. He could do that kind of stuff. I know he spends a lot of time on his computer, right? Playing games and all this kind of stuff, but he does all his work on there and stuff like that. Then he got a job. He's working for a firm, right? Of course, it was like a summer hire thing, though. But he did the projects, and he used the software, and he was showing me what he was doing, and I was impressed. My daughter too. Right? My daughter got a summer job because she's into art. She's basically an art teacher now. Right. So their stories and their experiences are different than mine. But you gotta admit, man, that's a crazy story I told you, right? Anyway, I'm getting off track. Let's get back to it. Mr. Kima, I can see Microsoft getting into the movies industry. I don't know, Mr. Kima. I'm not saying you're wrong. And there's a time I would be totally with that, but given everything they've done to scale back, especially now, that's what gets me, Mr. Kima. You can talk me off this bridge, but I have no idea why. I mean, people are giving me reasons, but still, to be $1 trillion company when your competition is Amazon, Netflix, the other big tech companies or other big companies like that, and to scale back on stuff like that doesn't make sense to me, especially when you're making money and you're profitable, not just profitable, ridiculously profitable. To me, these things are no brainers that they should be doing. But I mean, I reserve judgment, Mr. Kim. I know they had success with they had success with Halo, but definitely Fallout, right? And maybe and I mean, I'm not opposed to them looking at that. They actually should, right? Bethesda can be more than just a gaming studio. They have the properties. They built the worlds. They built the lore. They got all that stuff on lockdown. Now you have to find a way to transition it to a different medium, which they did with the Fallout. My daughter's a big Bethesda fan. And she's a big Fallout fan, right? So she loved the show. She loved the TV series, and she's looking forward to the second season. So if they can do that, then great, right? And I would be happy if they could. But I'm not sure. Some of the stuff they're doing is just like it doesn't make sense to me, especially if we're talking about ecosystem, right? Now, if they were going broke, like if their stocks took a nosedive or something happened in China where they lost a lot of their industrial mojo, something like that, like something world altering, industry altering. But I don't see any of that. Anytime I see anything that Microsoft is doing, they're just pushing forward, making hand over fist, making money hand over fist, and then expanding, right? And we've already known what they said about Xbox, and I believe that 100% that Xbox is like their, just like how they look at Excel or how they look at Office or whatever. They're doing like their AI components, right? Because they can infuse all of that, right? It fits into the plan. Like we are going to get AI in gaming, and that's why they have Xbox. Right? That's one of the things they saw with Xbox, and Satya's been doing that for years. That's why I would tell people to go follow him when he would do his, especially when he came on the scene. When he talk about when he would do at those Microsoft events, he would actually incorporate Xbox into the lexicon, right? Into the discussion, what they were talking about, right? As the complete picture of what they were doing, right? Now definitely some things have come and gone, right? But for the most part, with Xbox, I can see them utilizing that for the other stuff that they're doing, and that's why they're holding on to it. And so for me, if they're going to get into the movie industry, then why did they cut the movies and selling that on the store? Yeah, you know what I mean? Wouldn't I would and maybe I shouldn't say that because Microsoft does that. I mean, but if you're going to be competitive with these people, again, I also thought like why hang out with PlayStation and Nintendo? You should just destroy them, or put them firmly in second and third, quote unquote, right? Because they technically are not your competition, but just letting people know that we run this industry. Our Xbox brand is the premier brand and we run the industry. That's what they should have done. Instead of this, let's hold hands and I'll give you this, you give me that. Um, yeah, Xbox, we're with you with this, except we're still gonna money hat games from you. Tokyo Game Show. Daughter's looking forward to the game Ananta. We were talking about it, right? She plays a lot of those gacha games. I shouldn't say that because it's my understanding Ananta's not going to be a gacha. Anyway, case in point, there's a game coming out and it's not coming to Xbox, or it could be coming to Xbox, but they're not saying it probably because it's like all PlayStation right now, right? With that, that's the irritating part for me with all of this stuff, right? They're not reciprocating. So for me, you guys know me. If you've been on this channel, you're not going to reciprocate. We're going to make you reciprocate. You don't want to play You don't want to play nicely with us. Then we'll play. Then we won't be nice. Right? I don't want to wait 20 years for you to finally give me your title. I want that title now. In fact, I'm paying for. I want to pay for it. I want to get content from you. I'm paying for that content. Oh, awesome! But I want all this stuff too. Like this is getting tiring. And again, the Tokyo Game Show. I was telling me and Hiba was talking about this. I'm just tired of Microsoft bending over. I don't know why they do that, dude. I don't know if it's a psychological thing, dude. For the people that they should be stomping on, they bend over for, and the people they should be supporting them, that's the people that they give a hard time to, and that really pisses me off. Sorry, I can't. That irritates me about them. That's one of the things I can't stand that they do. It's like, dude, Japan has basically told you, and I don't. And look, dude, Phil, do what you do. Work on your Japanese, man. It's been 7 years, bro. Your Japanese has not gotten better. Just speak English at this point. I'm just trying to help you out because it sounds horrible. Why, I was like, dude, just I know, right? You guys want to be inclusive. You guys want to not all that stuff. That's cool, right? But that's like just speak English at this point, right? But that aside, Tokyo Game Show, man. Just work with who you can work with, all that kind of stuff. But let's go outside. Let's go hunt outside of Japan already. I've been saying this for years, right? Because and again, I'm biased, right? Like I said, I try and check my bias. I'm 100% biased because I consume stuff from places other than Japan, Southeast Asia, South Korea, China, right? The stuff that they're doing good, right? Like when they talked about this being that global presence, man, we should already be there. Like so, Ananta should be on the Xbox, right? Some of these other companies should have brought their stuff over, right? Why don't we have the leagues over there? You know what I'm saying? You know, like like we should be. This shouldn't even be talking about should have or could have. We should have just been. It should have been done already. You see what I'm saying, guys? I'm just being honest, right? But it is what it is. Do stop. Look, do make your deals, do your stuff. They want money, pay them. But put your foot down too. It's like, hey, dude, look. You guys gonna bring your stuff over when? Can we do a drop now? You bought the studio. The dude digs out on you, man. Don't do business with it, dude. You gotta get back to being an American company, bro. You gotta get cut. You gotta get cutthroat. And you're not even being cutthroat, dude. If I'm being honest, dude, you're not even being cutthroat, dude. You're doing, dude. You gotta take care of your own, man. You gotta put your foot down, dude. You can't let people walk all over you. It's irritating. Oh, we had these good conversations. No, I don't want your conversation, bro. When is it coming? Like, when are we getting it? Are we getting or are we not getting it? And if we're not getting it or they're going to drag your feet, tell me. Because if they're going to drag your feet, I'm not going to buy this game. I tell you guys on my channel all the time, dude. You guys bring your game. I don't, you're going to give us your sloppy seconds, dude. You go to the back of the line. If I acknowledge you at all. That's how I do it, dude. This is what I mean when I talk about participating in the ecosystem. You're going to bring a Black Myth Wukong to me a year and a half, 2 years later, blame the S for the reason where we all know what the real reason is, but you still lied in my face. You know what, dude? Nothing. I don't care. I don't care if you drop that thing in Game Pass, dude. I ain't gonna play it. Out of principle. Shout out to Hebot. Out of principle, because I'm the same way. Out of spite, I will not play your game. They're double-edged sword. Out of spite and out of principle, I won't play your game. You could give me that game for free. I'm like, no, you can keep it. I think I'm the only guy in our Xbox group that doesn't have another console. On principle and spite. Because those other two consoles and their fan bases and their psychotic fans have been trying to shut down Xbox since the Xbox One. And that's why I have not faltered on Bleeding Green. It's easy for me. Number one on principle. Number two on spite. Those two things alone is the fuel I need. I'll never have a PlayStation, and I'll never have another Nintendo. The only reason I had a Nintendo, I'll be honest with you, is my kids. My kids is the only thing. But my daughter and my son have moved on. My son plays on PC. My daughter plays on Xbox, on her phone. Right, and she's done. She passed Switch a long time ago because she grew up. Now she's playing games, but she's like, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about her. She's playing these weird games, but she's an artist. But anyway, on those two things alone, dude, that's why I don't. And I ain't gonna budge, man. I ain't budging. So if you're Microsoft, right, and you feel like, okay, we need to go in a new direction, or we need to find new blood, that's on you guys. Right? But again, like I said, don't forget what got you here, right? And what got you here wasn't all these champagne, all these champagne wishes and caviar dream ideas that you guys are coming up with. What got you here, man, was a culture of people, a bunch of sweaties, a bunch of people lugging TVs around, connecting Xboxes, running landlines, and playing games for 4 days straight on a holiday weekend. That's what got you here. That's your culture. Right? Your culture is not about spreading love and democracy around the world, worried about what other countries are doing, trying to push a political agenda. Right? That's not what got you here. Dude, we got you here. We're the ones that got you here. And you need to remember that. Hey, thanks for that comment, Mr. Kimo. Dude, guys, I want to wrap it up. That's all I wanted to kind of get off my chest. Right? Again, for me, it's like, what are you giving me? What are you doing for me? And I don't like to be that way with Microsoft, but that's when you start removing the stuff that gives me connection to you, right? It's like having a friend, dude. You can have a friend and then things change, right? And then you don't have the same bonds. You don't have the same belief system. In fact, you guys don't like being around each other, right? I'm not saying it's that way with me and my Xbox, but I'm saying those connections are fading away. And I think overall, that's not just for me. I think it's detrimental to their core reason why people participate with them. Right. I think somewhere along the lines in these last 13 years, they realized, 13, 14 years, they realized that the connection they have with their fans um, was something worth um, not exploiting, but growing. And for some reason, over the last couple of years, and I understand a lot of stuff is going on in the world, right? That seems to not be their focus anymore. And again, dude, they can do that, dude. I'm cool. I mean, we can do that. But again, I gotta adjust myself, right? And Game Pass is still. So let's go out on a positive note. Game Pass still untouchable. I played Slay the Spire for the first time. Like honestly, played it. I tried to play it before something was wrong. When I tried to play it on the clouds, I couldn't. But I took the time to play it last night because it's Humble Games, right? I like Humble Games, and everybody talks about it. So I was like, oh, let me give it another try. And the cloud was working perfectly. We actually played through like the first. I got up to the main boss. I got destroyed because I didn't really know what was going on with the game, but it's a fun game, and it's fun to learn, and it's typical of what makes Humble Games the games that I like. Right? Enjoyed it. Probably gonna buy it. Put it on my wish list. Right. So all of the stuff that Microsoft does, they do the things that they when it comes to their gaming, they spot on. Right. Competitive price. Well, not competitive price. Value price for Game Pass. Be warned though, they're probably going to be competitive pricing for Game Pass. And competitive, I know, like, okay, so I know PlayStation has their stuff that don't matter because the PlayStation guys don't use that stuff. And but on the competitive pricing as opposed to pricing on what the competition is what's taking time. Like Unlimited said yesterday, he's 100% correct, and he still is 100% correct. I kind of disagree with him. It still is about the content. So he nailed that on the head with the content. Content is king. Content is still king, right? What's shifting to is the engagement, but you need the content for the engagement. So you're not wrong, Unlimited, 100% on that. But you need the content for the engagement. So that's not this. It's not taken away. It's just added, and that's what they're focusing on the engagement. And that's a great effect, man, because Microsoft ain't starving and they're not losing any money over this stuff. Right? So all of that, dude, that they do is still there because they're competing again. They're competing with YouTube. They're competing with Netflix, right? They're competing with Apple. Services, engagement, all of that, because these companies now are picking up on what Microsoft been doing all these years. And this is why I hate this gaming media, and I always hate the gaming media. This is why I hate all the gamers. Or that's why say people nowadays aren't gamers, right? Because they never realized that is kind of an us against them mentality. But what it turned out is like what we have here on the Xbox side is us against the world. That's what it is. Because you can't even rely on gamers in your own industry to their benefit. It's like politics, right? It's like politics. It blows my mind, like where I live, that people, the way that they vote. Because right after they vote for a person or they vote for a bill and then they suffer from it, then they're like, what's going on? Why is this happening? That's how stupid they are, right? I don't understand why my electric bill my electric bill was like $95. Now it's $150. What happened? You know, and they're craving. They go into their bill saying, "Oh, did I leave a light on?" Or their water bill. Do I have a leak? Is one of the pipes leak? No, no. You voted for a bunch of communists. That's what you did. You voted for a bunch of communists, and all your costs went up, right? Because you're a dumbass. I'm just gonna be honest. You're a dumbass. You bought into the whole the green things, right? Oh yeah, we need to get rid of our coal plant here on the island. Right? We need to get rid of the coal plant on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The one form of energy that you can rely on, right? And we should go green, right? We should go put solar panels all over the island. You know, where I live in Hawaii, it rains a lot and it's cloudy all the time. Did you guys know that? You also know that we get hit by hurricanes, or we have passing hurricanes that affects the weather. Right? So if you don't have sun, what happens? Yeah, solar doesn't work. Okay, got that. Right? We're gonna go green. We're gonna put windmills all over the place. I live on an island. Windmills are huge. At least the windmills they need to generate the power. Right? That's that didn't work out so well. Right? So everybody's bills went up. On top of the fact that when you work for the power company here, you have a really good retirement. I don't bemoan that. I think that's actually great, but that needs to change because they can't cover the cost of the retirement. The retirement plans that they have is not they don't generate enough income. So then when you have a lot of stuff that these guys are trying to do on top of all the responsibilities they have financially, that's where you have rolling blackouts and brownouts. Just saying. And I bring that up because that's how it feels in the gaming industry, right? People voting against their best interest. So I'm here hating on Xbox, which is the most consumer of all the companies, bending over backwards to give you guys what you want, and that's why I don't give a crap that they're charging you $1,000 for a handheld. Either eat the cost, right, or don't buy it. That's on you guys. For years, Microsoft, Xbox especially when it was Xbox and Phil, right? They did everything, man. They extended that olive branch way more than they should have, right? And you guys are like, no, no, Xbox sucks, Microsoft sucks, everything sucks. You guys suck, right? I hate the color green, right? All you people out there that did that, well, as they say in politics, elections have consequences, and in the form of gaming choices have consequences, and now you're paying for it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm suffering with you guys too, but I'm not suffering as much because I'm enjoying watching it. Because you guys need to learn a valuable lesson, right? That you guys need to check your egos and your biases, and you guys need to understand, like, if it's something that benefits you, you should look at it a little bit more closely. Not say you have to support it. I'm not saying that you have to go buy an Xbox, but you should at least acknowledge and not been bought into all the lies that people propagated all these years with the Xbox brand and Xbox position in gaming and what they were doing and what they were not doing. You should have been honest about that. But you lied to yourself and you spread lies, and then that's why we are where we are. This is justice, is what it is. Right? And this is not payback. This is not even payback. I wish it was. Dude, I would piss on you guys' grades. I'm being honest. I'm just being honest with you. I would definitely, but that's not even what it's about because that's not Microsoft's intention. Microsoft finally had a moment of clarity and said, you know what, I think we will charge you what we think we're worth. Because they're the ones that build the console. They know what the cost is. Again, all the tariff stuff aside. But still, this has been a consistent thing for them since they launched the Xbox One. And they tried to adapt the Xbox One to all the hate and discontent that people have with the console, which wasn't that. They just hate it. They just hate Xbox. Which if you can't realize that, then I can't even talk to you. Like all of this stuff has been laid bare in front of everybody to see. And this is why you have $1,000 handheld. Because I know some of you guys wanted to buy it, dude. Right? And a lot of you guys at the back of your mind, man, and a lot of you guys were haters purported to be haters of Microsoft, but you would have bought that thing. Still would have complained, still would have tried to get your clicks and your views, right? But you still would have bought it because you were assuming that Microsoft would do the right thing by your standards and charge it under $500, right? This doesn't surprise me at all, and it doesn't surprise me because I don't care, right? I don't. It's just like, okay, dude. Because and again, for me, right? It's for me. It's like I'm not going to pay $1,000 for the handheld, so I'm moving on. You know what I will buy? I will buy the next volume of Solo Leveling because I'm reading the graphic novels. Right? I'm reading the graphic novels right now. I'm going through it, and it's not a hard read, but I'm just savoring the moment, enjoying it, enjoying each book for what it's worth. Right? I finish a book, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to order another one. Use my Amazon bonus points. Next one, oh, it's available and it's on sale. Boom, buy it. And if it's not on sale, I buy it. Again, culture, right? Culture. Right? It doesn't matter to me what it costs, right? I'm enjoying it, and I want it. I want to have it, and I want to enjoy it. And I know I'm going to read it and reread it. I'm going to spend time on it. I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be something that I love to do, right? And that's how I feel with Xbox. But that is changing a little bit. That was the whole point of this video. How to get that off my chest, guys. Again, I got to wrap it up within an hour and a half. Thank you to the chat that was here, Mr. Kim. Appreciate it, man. 100%. Everything you said. Toolman, thanks for stopping by. Shout out to the crew that out there that did the podcast, dude. Like I tell you guys, there's very few people I can listen to. So when everybody gets together and does the podcast, shout out to Unlimited, E-Rock, Tuckmaster, Sega Man, Dale. It's nice to hear her voice again. Right? Was forgetting what she sounded like. And of course Hebot. But I cheat with Hebot. Hebot, we talk offline as well. So so that's I hear but I hadn't talked to him in a while. And of course it was good to hear his perspective because I was exactly feel like he did with all of this stuff. And you can tell it was in his voice when he was talking at the podcast. And of course Unlimited bringing the goods, man, the production value, all that stuff. The chat was good. The only person that was missing was our boy, man. Oh my gosh, dude. Drawing a blank. Zinc. Zinc wasn't there, dude. It would have been great, man, because they probably would have gone. Him and E-Rock probably would have gone back and forth. I would love to hear them. And again, guys, this is not like look, dude. We agree and we disagree. That's a great thing. I think so, right? Because we're not all on the same position or same level or consume stuff the same way. We're all pretty close, though, right? And that's the commonality that we have. But we disagree as well. And some of the guys might disagree with my opinion on this, but at the end of the day, this is more a personal thing. That's why it's an all-in chat, not really a podcast, because this is my own personal thing, and you don't have to. If this is the way I consume my gaming culture, this is how I do it. And when it comes to Xbox specifically, their ecosystem, right? And little by little, dude, they're taking that stuff away. Right? But as far as the gaming, guys, you see, I've been putting time on my games. I will start ultra focusing on trying to get through my backlog, right? Um, Especially in light of everything that's going on. I do want to make a dent in it and prepare myself for the stuff that comes down that I really want to play later on, which is quite a bit. Again, man, if you guys have Game Pass, I'm not telling you guys something you don't know. But anyway, let's wrap it up. I am going to do another video. I might do it later on today. You guys can participate in it if you want. It's just going to be me watching the Tokyo Game Show. I'm going to be like, well, I'll knock two birds out with one stone. I'll do the Tokyo Game Show. I'll watch it, and I'll give my commentary on it. I'll probably do that later on today. Right? But all right, thank you guys for stopping by Xbox Online channel. Host Figure Forever. We out.